2.3 is all about Spanish influence. It also has the conversation about Christopher Columbus, which is part of this. So let us get started. We're going to start with who was in charge of Spain at that time, and that's Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile. And if you look at the map here, you can see that Castile is way bigger than that of Aragon. So the person who has the most power in this relationship between them is Isabella. And even though with Christian thought patterns at the time of, men are more important, we still have the situation where Isabella controls way more land than Ferdinand does, which makes her more important in this marriage concept. All the food that is grown comes from Castile. Their armies come from Castile. Castile protects Aragon, which was the whole point of this marriage in the first place. So in 1469, Ferdinand and Isabella get married, and they want to keep the country divided into provinces. They don't quite go into the whole thing of Spain being a country. And that is because they're in what is known as the Reconquista. Reconquista is the Christian retaking of Spanish territory from Muslim-controlled lands. And they've been doing this for hundreds of years. But now in 1469, when they get married, they're getting closer to the end. And it doesn't take very long, just a few years, and they'll be done. And Catholicism is seated in this area. It's an ethnic cleansing campaign, where if you're not Catholic, you have to get out. You have to convert to Catholicism or leave. It began in 1478 with formation of the Spanish Inquisition, this forceful convert to Catholicism or leave. So the Spanish Inquisition is going to be very important in making sure that this Aragon and Castile are Catholic. On January 1st, 1492, they're going to finish by retaking Granada. So they'll have the whole area. So it's 1493 when they form up the country of Spain. Spain starts to form as its whole a country upon itself. But it isn't until they take Granada that this happens. So these two individuals are in control of this area. They're doing very well when an individual comes to them and asks for money. And that is going to be Columbus. So where does Columbus fit in all of this? Well, he was born in 1451 in Genoa. In the 1480s, he's going to leave home. He comes from a long family of merchants. So being a merchant in his family has been a thing for a few generations. And what he wants to do is he wants to find money so that he can travel westward. By now, it has been proven that the world is round. So he knows that, the world isn't flat. He knows if the world is round, then there should be a western route to India, to China, and so he should be able to go westward. But nobody's done it before. Who's going to support him? So he's going to go around and he's going to ask a lot of people for money. Then eventually, the Italian Merchants Guild will come to him and say, yes, we will help. We will give you half of the money that you need. But you have to get the other half first. This really bolsters his confidence, and so now he's writing to monarchs, and he tells them the situation where he can get the other half, but he needs half as collateral. Eventually, Isabella and Ferdinand are going to write back to him and say, yes, come, tell us your plan, and we'll figure it out. And so he goes to Isabella and Ferdinand, and he lays out his plan for it. Portugal quietly sitting in the corner, doing their own thing, kind of listening in on everything that's going on. And originally, Isabella and Ferdinand were going to say no. They were not going to support Columbus. Ferdinand doesn't like him. But something happened on the way to court on that day that they were going to say no, and Isabella changed her mind. She definitely is going to support him. And she even goes as far as to say that she has a cousin who is the ruler of Portugal who will help supply ships. And so she is the one that gets that point where that grouping, the conglomeration of Spain and Portugal working together. The goals would be that they would give him 10% of any monetary things that he would find, he would get to keep, and then the rest goes back to Spain. So establish a trade route into Asia, and then 2, continue the Reconquista. So Columbus would find any island that was not controlled by a major country, and he would claim it for Spain. So, and in doing so, gain more land for Spain and more individuals to support Spain. So these were the goals for him going westward. He will have 4 voyages that he will go on. The first trip, he will be appointed the governor of Hispaniola. And Hispaniola, as you can see in this picture, is this little island. Today, it is, half of it is Haiti, the other half is Saint Dominique. So this is the Dominican Republic is the other half. And so this is where he's going to land his first trip. And he thinks he's made it to India. Remember that. He is going to do very well. He gets a lot of things within a ship, and he immediately goes back to Spain and says, look what I found. He doesn't have anything of monetary value. So no gold, no precious gems, none of that. So he's going to get a second trip that will be supported by Ferdinand and Isabella. And he is going to come back to the same area, Hispaniola. He's going to explore the area. He is going to enslave the Tanos people. The Tanos people are the native group to the area. Isabella, however, abhors slavery. She hates slavery. So when he brings slaves back to to Spain, she has huge issues with it. And so there's this tension between them. Not only is there tension between Isabella and Columbus at this time, there also is some people back in Hispaniola that don't like Columbus and also are power hungry. They really want power for themselves. So on his third trip, he takes to the New World. He is going to come up with a individual who is trying to grab power, and he accuses Columbus of taking gold and hiding it away. And that is why there's no gold being sent back to Spain, is because Columbus is keeping it all for themselves. So Columbus is going to be arrested for treason, from hiding goods, for fraud, hiding goods from that of the monarch. And Isabella is going to strip him of all of his titles, strip him of all of his money that he has, and leave him basically destitute. Name the person who accused him as the new governor, who now is in control of Hispaniola. And so Columbus doesn't get to come back to the New World for a while. Then in 1502, his sons, who are now in control of the trading company that was Columbus's, they bankroll him for one final trip to come back to the New World. When he gets here, when they first go to land in Hispaniola, they know that Columbus is on board, and they refuse to allow anyone to land in the port. So they have to go further and further down until they can resupply. Eventually they explore, and off the coast of Jamaica, there is a storm on their way back, and it strands them on Jamaica for a year. And as boats come through, they refuse to allow to pick them up and save these individuals because Columbus is with them. They don't want any repercussions or anything to happen. Eventually, after a year, a Portuguese merchant ship picks them up and helps get them back home. It isn't very long after he returns home in 1504. He's alive for a couple years, but he's got syphilis, and he's got a couple other diseases, and by 1506 he dies. There are counteracting reports on whether Columbus believed he got to the New World or not. The priests in the room say that yes, he said that he made it to a New World. He admitted it. But both of his sons say that throughout their entire time they're with him, he was adamant he had not found a new location. These were just islands off the coast of India. And every map that Columbus has made Florida is shaped like India. So he may or may not have believed that he made it to a new world, but his sons were pretty sure that he had not. He didn't believe that he had made it to a new world. There's one reason why it's called the Americas, because Amerigo Vespucci, he very much promoted that he made it to a new world. Now, the last thing to talk about in this section of, let's move me out of the way so you can read it all, is the Columbian Exchange. It is a term that was created, really it changes the world market and what we have here on these grounds. So it is an exchange of animals, plants, culture, and human populations, including slaves, communicable diseases between the two hemispheres. So as you can see, we have, for animals, you have Spain, the horse comes from Spain, the turkey very much from North America, the Midwest in North America, the cow comes from Africa, honeybees come from Europe. Food, potatoes are from South America, tomatoes Central America, coffee comes from Africa, sugar from Asia. And like I said, there's only one disease that comes from the Americas, that's syphilis, a STD, typhoid from Europe, malaria from Asia, so lots of diseases coming over into the New World. In 1482, the Portuguese established their first Portuguese trade, and that's in Elmina off the coast of Africa. By 1550, they are trading slaves in the Americas themselves. Very much Central America more than anywhere else. Now, the Treaty of Tordesillas is a treaty that was written in 1494 to decide who has control of this new area. They set the line for all unclaimed lands. West of the line goes to Spain. East of the line goes to Portugal. And they're going to set up what is known as the encomienda system. The crown will grant Spaniards natives to take responsibility for it. Now, they're not supposed to enslave them, just take responsibility for them. The receiver was to protect natives from warring tribes and instruct them in the Spanish language, culture, and Catholic faith. All right? So now we're going to move on to presentation 2.4.